The face and in the backside. Uno was found wandering around on the side of the road, surviving off of road food. He was only about 64 pounds when he was found. He is now a healthy 135 pounds, what he should have weighed when we found him. So he was missing over half of his body weight. He was that skinny. Now luckily for Uno, he was able to be rescued and brought to a wildlife hospital where unfortunately they had to remove his right eye.
You see?
They were able to save his left eye, but we believe him to be completely blind in that eye. Now when Uno first got here, he was just like a wild Florida panther. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with people. He was afraid of keepers walking by, of our radios, of planes flying overhead, of guests on the shell rock, even of his noisy leopard neighbors. He was afraid of everything. It's understandable considering he was in a brand new place, didn't know what people were, and couldn't see what was happening. But after a couple of months, instead of being afraid, he started to become more curious. And instead of running and hiding when he heard a person, he would actually run up to the fence like he is now, like, "Oh, do you have a treat for me?" Because we usually did. You realize that the Naples Zoo is a pretty great place to be, especially if you're a blind panther who can't hunt for himself. Now, Uno, since he is blind, we have to do a couple of things differently for him than we do for our other animals. You guys might notice that I'm saying a word before I hand him his meat. I'll say the word treat and give him his meat. And that's so that he knows that there's meat out in front of him. For our tigers, our hyenas, our lions, leopards, we don't have to say anything because they can see that we're holding meat in front of them. We use a lot of verbal commands when working with Uno since he can't do hand signals. One of those commands that we use is water when we fill up his water bowl or turn on the hose, door when we open or close doors, just so he knows what's going on and is not startled by what's happening around him. Another type of training that we do with Uno is a medical husbandry training. This helps us take care of him physically. Since he's missing that right eye and has the open socket, we want to be able to maintain it as best as we can. So say he were to get some dirt in it, or there was an infection or something that we needed to treat, we need to make sure that he's comfortable with us working around that area. Boy, that's a big one. So every morning when he comes in for his breakfast, he lays down and we give him meat just like we're doing now, and he allows us to give him eye drops and swab out that empty socket every single morning. We do this through the fence because he is a carnivore, he is potentially dangerous, and he was a wild animal. Although even our tigers, who were born at the Cincinnati Zoo, have never been in the wild in their lives, we do not go in with because they are a carnivore and could potentially harm or kill us. He is such a good boy, allowing us to do this every single day. It's not something we make him do, it's something we ask him to do. He's a pretty big animal. I couldn't make him do anything, and I wouldn't want to, because that's not the kind of relationship we have. He knows that if I ask him to do something and he doesn't, he's going to get rewarded. He also knows if he doesn't do it, nothing bad is going to happen to him. He's just not going to get a treat, which is the best part of his day. Now, another thing that we do for Uno, that we do for all the animals here at the zoo, is called enrichment. Enrichment is anything that has been added or taken away from an exhibit that stimulates the animals mentally and or physically and encourages natural behaviors. You guys might have seen Uno has a great big ball over by his other window. There's some barrels and balls in the tiger yard. There's some trash cans in the bear yard, all sorts of fun stuff for our animals. And a lot of enrichment is visual enrichment. We give our animals mirrors. We have some cutouts of Dr. Seuss characters. Some of our animals like to watch movies. Our parrots really like Disney movies. But we can't give Uno things like that. Because do you guys think he would be enriched by a mirror? No, because he couldn't see it. So we have to make sure we give Uno enrichment that he can work with. So that means we give Uno a lot of what's called olfactory enrichment, which means he uses his sense of smell to interact with it. So we give him a lot of things like perfume, spices, extracts, all sorts of stuff like that. One of his very favorite things is toys that have come out of the yard of the coyotes. Because when you give the coyotes a toy, very first thing they do is pee all over it. So the ball that Uno has actually was in the coyote yard for a couple of days, and when he got it, he was rubbing on it and licking it and playing with it, and it was disgusting and adorable, and he had the best time ever. All done. He also likes to get perfume that's been sprayed on newspaper so that he can rub on it and rip it to pieces and leave a great big mess for us to clean up in the morning. He loves to leave messes, don't you? Yes, sir, you do. So we give him a lot of enrichment that he uses his sense of smell with, as well as auditory enrichment, which means that he uses his sense of hearing. We play him music, we play him nature sounds, all sorts of fun stuff like that. Now Uno, like I said, is a Florida Panther. So based on the name Florida Panther, where do you think Florida Panthers is found?
Florida.
Florida, thank you. Last week I had somebody say the desert, and I was very concerned for that. So Florida Panthers are indeed found here in Florida. They used to be found all the way from Texas to Florida and everywhere in between, but nowadays they're not doing so well. There's only about 100 to 180 Florida Panthers left in the whole entire world, and they're found right here in South and Central Florida, and that's about it. Uno was actually found right here in Collier County, so we're living in their backyards. They're right here with us. Now there's a couple of reasons why Florida Panthers aren't doing so well. One of those reasons is a loss of territory and the level of aggression males will use to defend what territory they have. Now, one male Florida Panther needs about 200 to 250 square miles of territory in order to be satisfied. That's because he needs a lot of space to roam around and stay away from other panthers because they are solitary by nature, as well as to have a wide variety of prey sources and enough so that they can maintain that prey source for a long period of time, as well as water sources and able to stay away from people, which is their number one enemy. And a male panther will defend his territory to the death if he needs to. So if every male panther had as much space as he needed, that's only 16 satisfied male panthers in the state of Florida. Do you guys think 16 boy panthers is enough?
No.
No, it's not. It's not enough at all. And so that's one reason that panthers are going extinct slowly is because of panther-on-panther conflict. It's actually the #1 cause of panther death right now. Now luckily females are not nearly as territorial as the males, but when a female hits maturity and goes to find a place of her own, she tends to stay close to where she was raised, while a male panther will range miles and miles to find his own territory. So that means there's a lot of female panthers in South Florida, a lot of male panthers in North Florida, and no panther harmony for them to find one another, which makes reproduction a little bit difficult. Now, conservationists are trying to convince male panthers to establish territory further south, but for those of you with cats at home, you probably know that trying to convince a cat to do anything that wasn't its idea first is a little bit difficult, especially when it is a 140-pound animal with 2-inch claws. So I hope that they're able to figure out how to do that, but as of right now, it's not been very successful. Now, another reason panthers are in trouble right now is because of the roadways and being hit by cars. I-75 and I-41 are the largest culprits. In 2014, 30 panthers were hit and killed on I-75. In 2015, 32 panthers were hit and killed on I-75. In 2016, we are 2 days into this year, a panther has already been hit on I-75 and killed. This is the #2 cause of panther death. And 30 animals a year might not sound like a whole lot, but if there's only 100 to 180 animals left in the entire world, that's 15 to 30% of all the panthers in the world that we're losing every single year to being hit by cars. Something that is completely avoidable. Now panthers, as you guys might know, like other cats, are nocturnal as well as crepuscular, which is just a big fancy word that means that they're most active during nighttime, dawn, and dusk, which basically means that they're teenagers. Unfortunately for panthers is also our prime time driving periods. It's our rush hour. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm coming to or from work, I'm tired, I'm groggy, I'm ready to get wherever it is I'm going. I'm probably not paying as close of attention to the road as I could be, which is unfortunate because that is when I am most likely to encounter a panther on the road. So one thing you guys can do to help save the Florida panther is to just slow down and be more vigilant on the roadways. Slowing down just a couple of miles per hour and adding a few minutes onto your trip could save a Florida panther's life. And being more vigilant, especially in hours after dark, for that eye shine that panthers have, just like your house cat, a reflective shine. It's usually kind of a greenish color. Not just panthers, but any other animal that's crossing the road at night. Just be a little more cautious, because every animal is important to our ecosystem, not just big animals like the Florida panther. So even if it's just a raccoon or a possum or anything like that, just be more careful. Another thing you can do to help save the Florida panther that involves your vehicle is the Florida Panther license plate. It's about $25 a year, has a little panther in the middle, says protect the panther, and all of the money from that plate goes towards panther conservation. So it's an easy way for you guys to help. One more thing you guys can do to save the panthers, and you're all doing it right now at this very second. How many of you thought you were saving panthers right now? By visiting AZA accredited zoos like the Naples Zoo, you guys are helping to support conservation projects like the Panther Project, saving tigers, orangutans, black-footed ferrets. We recently had a fundraiser for the giant armadillo. All sorts of animals. There's over 2,000 conservation projects currently being supported by AZA accredited zoos. And we couldn't do that without you guys paying to come visit us and our awesome animals. So you guys can have a great day at the zoo, see some really cool animals, and go home feeling great about yourselves, knowing that you're helping to save their wild cousins. And it's not just the Naples Zoo. Any AZA accredited zoo all across the US and Canada does the exact same thing. So anywhere you go in your travels, just stop and visit the zoo. Have a good day, see some cool animals, learn a little bit about those animals, and know that you're saving animals. So I'm going to hang out here with Uno, answer any questions you guys might have about Uno or panthers or just about anything else you can think of. Our next show is at 12:15. In that direction, it is our Snakes Alive show. Some of our keepers are going to bring out some venomous snakes and other venomous reptiles, tell you how cool they are and how useful they are.
No thanks. I want to go on the boat.
I want to go on the boat.
Do you have a question?
I would highly recommend it. So on behalf of myself, Uno, and the Naples Zoo, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to me talk about panthers. Hope you guys have a happy Arbor Day and a great rest of your day here. He's getting beef with us right now. He gets a beef chunk, ground beef, chicken, every couple of days. He gets a whole fried item like grass.
Raise your hand higher so you can see.
Already one in 2016 has been hit and killed on Highway 75. Yeah.
It's really just a national park. There is no active conservation going on. It gives them space that is not allowed to be built on and has the word
That means we're watching this right now.
It's time to go, Nanny. It's time to go.
They will. You're actually very unlikely to see a panther in the wild because they are so harvested. But if you are to see one, just make yourself really big and not run. Don't turn your back on them because running will trigger that predator instinct. But you could be a panther right here where I'm standing and you probably wouldn't see it because they're that good at hiding.
Why did you guys name him Oreo?
Uno.
Because the hospital that he was brought to be treated, he was the very first patient that was ever brought to that hospital, so they named him Uno since he was the first.
Aww.
I thought it was because he only had one eye, but I was very stupid for it.
Simone, what did you think of that? What do you think of it?
What do I think of what?
The show.
Oh, I'm like, I can't see anything on the back of your teeth.
What do you think of it? But what do you think?
It was awesome.
Very good.